live, the Hour of Empower. I really like that name because it really does do what it says it does, which is rare these days. And, I'm so honored to have Kelle with us. And today we've got Charles Caldwell. I know you've seen him on the side with his comments and the couch surfing that took place this week with Andrea. And Andrea is going to be back Monday and then start taking up Tuesdays. We're really looking for warm, friendly, honest people who sincerely want to help people for the reason that help is given, not so much something's received. At the same time, I think the visibility and the intent and the activity will then profile you instead of you profiling yourself or someone else profiling you, because now you can say, here's what I do. Here's why I do it. And here's an example of me sharing this on the screen with all these thousands of people. With that, I'll turn it over. But first, the most important part of this whole process is the audience. Kelle came up with a brilliant idea to kind of label this Support Saturday. So for those who are challenged, confused, just want to add a contribution to others, this is a great opportunity to put it out there. We've got Charles with us. So we've got now three different sets of ears and eyes. So let me just mention Dean. Well, we have a new person, or at least a new name from Rwanda. And, we're getting so popular in Africa, and I think it's only because of representation here that continues to expand from there. So thank you so much for joining. Hope you enjoy it and come back. Again, we've got Dean. Then we've got Omar, who's a regular. Hey, Charles Ramon plus Don and Kelle, morning, 8 a.m. Jason's here. I also sent Jason a link. So if any of you really want to appear today, say so. I'll send you a link, or Kelle will send you a link. And, we want to hear from you. We want to see you. This is like a runway, right? It's time to get up here, take advantage of it, and soar. Okay, Kelle, why don't you say hello to everybody, and then we'll introduce Charles.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. And just to go off a little bit on what Don was saying about Support Saturday, we're just thinking let's try something a little different. We're doing open mic, share a highlight from your week, a low light. Maybe you need a little bit of advice on something. I don't know, anything, but just more of a way to get everyone to participate and open mic. We want to share the stage with you and help as many people, obviously, as we all can. And I love the fact that we have someone from the other side of the world today. It is midnight, so bless you for being here with us. And why don't you go ahead and give a little intro yourself? I'm so glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello, everybody out there in the LinkedIn verse. This is Charles. I'm calling in from Hong Kong. It's actually because the clocks changed last week, it's only 12 hours difference now between EST.
Oh,
so
great.
It's currently 11 p.m.
Okay.
So not quite my bedtime yet, a little later bedtime tonight. But yeah, it's really wonderful to be here. And look forward to sharing ideas and hearing ideas over the coming hour.
Well, we're so honored to have you, Charles, because, having new insights, brand new insights with fresh eyes, it keeps us kind of knowing where the lanes need to be and how we need to adjust. So by being an audience as much as you have and contributing and really getting to know the people here, because it's pretty easy if they're here pretty much every day and they shine every day, you would think that's who they are. So what's your thoughts, Charles, on the show and what we can do going forward?
Well, first of all, Donald, I think it's incredible that you have maintained the Hour of Empower every day for 3 years. That is absolutely, that's probably a Guinness Book of World Records. I don't know anyone else that's doing that. You might want to check that out.
It was 7 months. I've done 3 years of posting every day,
Okay.
7 months of LinkedIn Live and about 6 months of LinkedIn Live that I didn't do every day. But thank you so much. Go on. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, no problem at all. Well, 7 months is amazing. That's fantastic. Congratulations on that. And I just love the positivity and the community that that participates in this link.
Yeah, and you know, it's so cool because it's all there for the giving and for the combining, right? Everybody's got a lot of goodwill, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, a lot of interest in helping others, but it's all connecting and identifying who to connect with. And in, let's say, the crowded LinkedIn, it's a tussle. You know, people are squeezing in, people are trying to squeeze other people out. You know, we're here, it's like an island onto its own, you know, with a starting group. It's almost like a reality show, right? If you took 20 people and put them out in the jungle, right, and see what they could do together to make it not only survival, but success, just because of the reservoir of all this talent, you know, of all this experience with no way of connecting until now. So it was the medium that now allowed what was already out there, and it follows so well with the decentralization, you know, of peer-to-peer versus going through an institution or something that's a middle thing, and then doing it right now. And that's what this show is about, is if you're out there, and we know that we talked about this yesterday, people are hurting. They're not just thinking about hurting, they're actually feeling that. And this is a good time to see if you can heal somewhat, you know, or get some faith or hope that will get you till tomorrow's show, where you can think of your next question. See, the beauty is you can take this one question at a time and keep step this thing up. And all it takes is to reach out to see what we're made of, you know. So the challenge is not, could you use help? Are we up to the responsibility or the message that we share in order to do that? So, Kelly, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I agree. And I want to just kind of expand on what you were saying there too, for the new people, which I do love. Like, it's almost every day we see new names popping in the comments, which is awesome. Is that this is a place just of support and community, which I think it's so funny. And we've said this so many times. We're going old school, which in some point I'm like, but why is old school? It should be just normal human connection. That's what we're looking for here. Everybody needs that. And, you know, with talking about everybody hurting, everybody's going through something. Even when I'm at my highest high, I still feel better when I leave here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that whole supportive community so that you feel safe and you can do things maybe that you didn't think, whether or not it's talking about a situation you haven't spoken of before, or if you need help with, you know, my LinkedIn profile, I need help with a resume, I just lost my job, I'm feeling, you know, depressed. You know, there's a variety of things, but everybody's got something. And this is just that safe place. You know, I do say this personally, for me, I'm blessed to have an amazing community of family and friends around me that support me. And I know how lucky I am. And not everybody has that. And I think the beauty of this is I know there's people out there that are listening that maybe aren't even commenting, and it's changing how they're looking at their day. And I always do challenge. I'm like, I challenge you to arrive and leave not feeling better than you did when you arrived. Because even when I'm feeling my best when I arrive, I'm like, I feel even better when I leave. So, you know, and Charles, you've been in the audience for quite a while. Like, how do you feel about all that? And what have your thoughts been?
Well, I would say I agree. I think that globally people are hurting. People are feeling a lot of pain. And I think that pain comes from a number of places. I think people are still depending on when people are further along the healing curve than others. But, you know, Hong Kong's just out of the pandemic really, whereas the United States is further out of it. But What I would say is that the pandemic's not the only thing that people in recovery from. People are threatened by what's going on in the Ukraine. People feel threatened by the economy. We're seeing more headlines of job losses coming out. We've got this latest banking crisis that's popped up, and that's a lot for people. So people are hurting. And my message for people out there who are hurting is, you are great. You have skills. Even my dog is agreeing right now. She's barking in the background. You are great. You have skills. Don't get discouraged. You're going to get through this. You're going to make it. And just, as Don said, reach out and just reach out, find people, connect with people, leverage your community to get that positive support that you need. And then for the people who are reaching out to support, what I would say is, we need to be really cautious that we not judge people, that we really just accept people where they're at. So I work in a huge education system here in Hong Kong. We've got 22 schools and almost 3,000 employees. And we're seeing kids that are seeing development impact from the pandemic, from online learning. But our message to our staff, and the message that the staff have, is meet the students where they're at. Don't judge where the students are coming in. They'll get there. Kids are resilient, but so are adults. And so we need to make sure we don't judge people for where they're at, and that we meet people where they're at and support people and really offer grace and love to people. So that's my answer. Back to you.
Love it.
Well, that justified the whole show, and especially the link that was sent, because that's why we encourage people to come on the show. This is inclusive. We're trying to open doors and windows, not close them, not compress people, or, to Charles' point, label people. Why? Why does anybody have the right to go beyond themselves, right? To judge others and to negatively impact them? And that's why I think the crowded LinkedIn scares a lot of people. It's like you're running around with a bunch of strangers, but everybody's door is open, versus, hey, this is pre-vetted, because all it takes is the next something out of somebody's mouth to endear them to the group or disrespect a group, and find out that's it, right? There are no always second or third chances, because what we're doing is so valuable and so important that we need to protect it, And I think that's where people then learn to protect themselves, right? And when you can protect yourself, now you're open to opportunity, because the fear, the competition is gone. And anybody to compete against each other at everybody's level now, when you have 900 million people out there, why would you compete against your friends and families who you just met? Why wouldn't you, like Kelle says, reach out, see what we can do? You'll never know. So, if the doubt is they're going to, like Charles says, make me feel bad, tell me how I'm wrong, that's not where we're at. That's where you have to be at and decide when you're right? When you're not labeling that. And I think that's really key to this, is sometimes it just takes a conversation with a new person. And, we can't pick our family, but we can definitely pick our second family. And actually, people qualify to get into the family, right? By being here. I hear a lot of people want to speak, and they've never seen a show, right? They want to co-host. They don't know anybody or what we do here. And all that tells me is they don't care who they're talking to. They just want to promote them, right? And they should be with the them that they are versus the them that they're not, and you just have to keep directing people, right? If someone's looking for ice cream and they're going into a hardware store, you'd want to say it's down the street, So anyways, we got Jason here. I sent Jason a link too. Am Bambola, Kelle, if you want to send Am Bambola the link, that would be great. If your technology is working, I know we've tried to have you on before. Another really, really wonderful name that I'm afraid to pronounce. So I'll just say, love the idea of inclusiveness. Everybody loves the idea of being included. Did you ever say, I can't wait for someone to exclude me tomorrow? and I want to be part of something that nobody wants me for. I think, life and the world gives you signals. You should accept a lot of them as being what they are, and move on to things that you're aligned with. Oh, Charles is commenting. We got 2 Charles today. Double power. If you're hurting, don't be discouraged. You're great. Your day will come and you will get through your current situation. Keep smiling. So profound. So Charles, how did you get into your role as administrating all this wonderful groups and people that you're doing down in Hong Kong?
Well, you mean from LinkedIn or in my current role?
Yeah, how'd you get to where you are in life?
Well, I'm originally from Toronto, Canada, and I worked for an organization called Landmark Education for a while. They relocated me from Toronto to Vancouver, hit a crossroads, did an MBA type program in Asian studies, and from there got poached to live in Hong Kong. And I've been working in Hong Kong ever since. I'm coming up to 27 years in Hong Kong. Most of my background is actually in the technology industry, but about 10 years ago, I had a change in seasons in my career. I really wanted to give back. I was very involved in youth group in my church, and an opportunity came up in English Schools Foundation, and I jumped on board, and I've been in the education sector ever since. Yeah, so we're the largest English-speaking education system in Hong Kong. We run the IB curriculum, early years program, primary years program, K1 to year 13.
So what do you do every day?
Well, I run human resources. So it's my background is actually in leadership development. So my passion is training and development and growing and developing people. And I jumped from there into a generalist HR role when I was in the tech sector. And so my day involves, well, we're in the middle of a massive human resources system implementation. We're in the middle of an Oracle implementation. So my day is involved in, supporting that implementation and supporting the staff, supporting the leaders in the organization, lots and lots of coaching involved in that, a lot of listening and encouragement. But we actually have a really good team. We have off the charts exit interviews when people leave the organization.
Well, that's great. Something to really be proud of. And we're proud of you, Charles, just for getting to know you a little bit today, because that's the beauty of coming on is you can get deeper and richer with everybody, right?
Yeah.
And they can get deeper and richer with themselves and everybody, and it just ramps up. So how do you think a show like this could continue to evolve and get better?
Well, I love the diversity. I love the fact that you have a different person that's teaming up with you at each show. It's a combination of diversity and continuity. So there's some regular faces and there are new faces. And I think that, every day we can ask ourselves, what do we think people don't know that we don't know? Encourage people to ask questions and speak into that space of, for example, the theme this week seems to be the discouragement that people might be confronting. The hurting is the word that we've been bouncing back and forth. So we can speak into that space and pour leadership and pour encouragement into that space. And, each week there may be a different theme, or every 10 days there may be a different theme. And I think just, keep doing what you're doing and continue to build the diversity and the encouragement. And that really helps people a lot.
That is so good to hear, because we don't know what we don't know. And this is all new for us. So every show is a new show that's never been done, based on who's on it, what the subject is. And you know what's so cool? It's like a feather in the wind. Where anything needs to go, it ends up going, no matter where it starts, right? Because either something becomes important or entertaining. We have moments when we get into not being so serious and laughing like couch surfing and things like that. And we have personalities like yourself. And I'd love to have Charles back as a co-host. So what was your trepidation in the beginning? Because I know I've reached out a couple times to be on LinkedIn Live, and what changed?
Well, I think that originally you had it at a different time of the day and you moved it up into the morning. Is that correct?
Well, I was doing LinkedIn Lives. It could have been maybe 2 hours later, but I'm not sure because,
Yeah.
I had to do what other people are doing is get on somebody's show and really understand it and learn it, and then go to get on my own show, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think you moved it. So you know, if the time, if we're on daylight savings time, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning here in Hong Kong. And so to be honest, that was the biggest barrier. Plus, on top of that, we were all dealing with the circumstances of the pandemic and being in the education system. We were managing online learning, which throws up a whole bunch of other issues because that's not, the core competency is teaching in the classroom. And when you throw it online, I really a shout out to people who work in schools and a support staff, and especially the teachers, because they had to reskill themselves in the pandemic literally overnight in a couple of days, and that was not easy. So I really acknowledge the education world, wherever you are on the planet. You've done a great job in the last couple of years. And so we were managing that here in Hong Kong, Don, and that just made it really difficult for me to be able to commit to late nights. Sleep is so important. Another message for people who are listening: sleep is so important. All the stress that we're dealing with right now. If you're here, if you're hurting, if you're feeling that discouragement, it's important to continue to get sleep. Make sure you're resting your body.
Yeah, great advice, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, stress is terrible for the body, and we all do. I mean, I go through those times where I'm not sleeping well, and that's usually when I start feeling the worst. Especially with any kind of depression, mental health. Things rock you a little different when you're not well rested or active. And I think we talked about that a little bit earlier, and it might have been Andrea's show. That went from couch surfing to also like, how do you reset? And I think that was a question that was asked of everyone. What do you do to get reset on something? And it was went all over the place, from I put in music and I go for a walk, or I sit and connect and I breathe and meditate for a bit, or I focus on my heartbeat, whatever it is to get you recentered and refocused. And then there are those techniques too. And I've done this in the past when I've been under a lot of stress. Is there are breathing techniques that you can do to help you sleep too, because it's just all about really shutting your brain off. I mean, and that's hard sometimes, because it can be, it's this enemy that lives inside our head sometimes. And Christy's, one of her big things that she always says, and it should be on a t-shirt: get out of your head. And it's hard sometimes. And, sometimes just having the talk, and we mentioned this a little bit earlier, having someone else to talk to, it's not necessarily always about even getting the advice back or getting anything. You just want someone to sit and listen. I know for me, just sometimes saying it and me hearing myself say it out loud, I can finally go, oh, and exhale and let it go. And I think too, just to go on to your point, Charles, about sleep, is a lot of times if you just start doing something that's a little more active, doesn't mean you have to go run or go to the gym and hit the weights. Go for a walk, do something that's physically active a little bit more, and that can tend to help you sleep better as well. But yeah, I think that's something that's overlooked, Charles, and I think so many people went through. I mean, my sleeping pattern during the pandemic was so out of whack. And for so many reasons. I mean, we were living in, the fear, the stress, the unknown, and so many things that it made it, and being isolated. There was something about that too that added another layer of inconsistency of, I'm a pretty structured person. I like order. So that totally threw me off. And man, I was sleeping some weird hours there for a while. And that does impact a lot of things. And in particular for me, I can speak to my mental health. It definitely, caused some situational depression that was real, and it was difficult. But those are the times too that you you need to know, like, I knew I needed to reach out and talk to people. I was like, I got to stay connected. Human connection is so important, and people aren't connected through a device. And I feel like that's why I love this platform so much and what it is, because it does feel like you're sitting in someone's living room or, wherever, having a cup of coffee with a friend. You're just having a conversation, but it feels more connected than just someone sending you a text message or an email. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to jump in here, Don. I really agree, Kelly, with what you're saying about everything you're saying, but I also want to emphasize the physical activity. I think all the circumstances we're dealing with, I'm trying to get my hands here to kind of show pressing down, right? All the circumstances that we're dealing with is pressing down on us, whatever it is. And it's, what we've learned in the last 3 to 4 years is that sitting is the new smoking. And it's no one's expecting anybody to go out and run a marathon or do Ironman. You don't even have to join a gym, as Kelly says. You can just go out and get a walk. If you just go and discipline yourself to walk every day for 30 minutes, get some sunshine, even if it's overcast, get some nice rain on your forehead, but just get physical and get active, because the people's muscles have atrophied so much in the last several years. And step one is to get out there and get active, and also manage your sleep. Totally agree. Back to you, Don.
Yeah, well, there's so much truth and value to what everybody is sharing today. And, what I say is either I'm talking or walking. So the only time I'm sitting is when I'm talking to you, because as soon as I get done, I've done 11,000 steps for every day for 20 some years, and sometimes more, because my old warehouse was a football field long. So just to get to the office, you had to walk 300 yards and back to lunch and everything. So, you got to look at yourself as everything there is in this world, because everything depends on you being the best you can be, and I think, what I found when I found myself in situations that we're talking about is being with other people made all the difference. Because once they start talking, once they start listening, you get out of your own head. The problem is there's too much of you with not enough interest in entertaining yourself all day long, right? So then when you can't entertain yourself, you punish yourself, right? Either way, you're with yourself, dealing with yourself, and the game is always between you and yourself. And it's easy to say, and I think to Charles' earlier point, you got to meet people where they're at, and you got to relate to them as if you're there too, right? So you got to be, again, peer to peer. What we're doing is we're taking advantage of technology instead of letting technology take advantage of us. And it doesn't matter who takes advantage of you. It's leaving you to go somewhere else, right? So if it's a person that's taking advantage of you, that's a relationship you have. You need to redirect. If technology's taking advantage of you, you got to redirect that time. People are playing games and sending photos and watching dog videos. That's your life, right? 4 or 5 hours a day. And what it is? It's leaving your life and getting sucked into a lot of time sucks, a lot of interest sucks. And at the end of the day, your mental health is about what you look at every day, what you hear every day. When I disconnected from news, it was like a miracle, right? Because whatever it is, I'm going to hear about it somewhere in the week if it's important. But you don't need commentary from 40 different people you don't know, don't care about, and just, so that's really, people have too many choices. There was a book called Escape from Freedom from, I think it was Eric Fromm, that says when people have too much freedom, they're not responsible. When people know every day what they need to do and there's a routine, I'm not saying that's freedom, but people are happier because they know what to expect. Today you don't know anything from anybody what to expect. And I think that's going to force people to be more resilient, more resourceful, say what I used to be able to do to get through this is not working and it's not even there anymore, right? Because, in business, people love trade shows. They love conferences. They'd have 4 or 5 days of entertainment and lectures and meet people they did business on the phone with and never were around. And going to Starbucks or Panera's and meeting people, has changed, right? And now they got the worst of all worlds. They don't have what work. Their needs are greater, right? And the disparity between what they need and what they can get is hard to find. But if you can use a social network that's geared for this, and one more thing, because this is ramping up so wonderfully in so many ways, we're getting people with 1 million connections who are watching this show. And they're watching it for the message, not for the competition, not to see if they can get more followers, because they need something more relevant every day, right? They need to feed their soul. So let me just acknowledge a lot of wonderful people. We've got another individual with a new name. To Charles' point, we're into diversity, inclusiveness. Everybody's a person. Everybody deserves to be respected as a person. Christy, I've got to get to Hong Kong to hang with Charles as from one that did the classes from Landmark. I want to crawl into his head and get more fabulous thoughts of empathy. Just Christy saying that supports and validates what Charles is saying and here for. In turn, Christy's getting all this new information, just like me and Kelle are in the group today from Charles. Another diamond in the rough, appears. Christy, glad to get to know Charles more. I connected with him early because he was in your network. And that's another thing. Take advantage of these wonderful people. Charles is so gracious and generous to share and to be available, and that's why I say if you were to hire everybody by the week to be here, the payroll would be enormous and the talent would be also.
Yeah.
So now the key is, how do you weave this together into a better product and service for more people who get access to it? And I think that's another answer to our issues. You have so many tremendous issues, but I do believe in the goodness of people and mankind. And, I remember 20, 30 years ago, we're going to run out of energy. The U.S. will have no more energy. And because they were thinking in the future with today's mind, not knowing that the mind will change as the future changes. Mm-hmm. And now we are the biggest producer in the world because of technology. So it's a double-edged sword, and it's only going to be there more and more in people's life. Especially, I was talking to my son-in-law about this new 4PNTQC something, where it's just AI-driven writing, right? Yeah. And all these copywriters, all these people will now have a challenge, right? Here we go with Christine. Hi, Jason. Here's Jason. Jason's going to be coming back on Tuesday, I believe, to co-host. He's from Colombia. Andrea, who's going to be here Monday, is from Netherlands. Sarah, who's going to be here tomorrow, is in Spain. All over the world, we're getting like-minded people. And, it's so cool to see Kelle, who's in Arizona. But I've never been on a screen with somebody in Hong Kong that looks so bright and clear. That's just a miracle in itself that we take for granted. Jason. Hey, Christine, happy Saturday. How have you been? It's nice to have friendships within friendships and people saying hello just because they like to see them. Very true. Health is an important aspect to keep going. Charles, you're a great co-host. Good ideas get out of your head.
Yes.
And these are things, if you take one thing away, that might be enough to get you over the hump. Getting out of my head is hard sometimes.
Yes, it is.
It's hard for everybody. I'm okay. Jason is a mess, but at least I own a house. Job is busy, but at least business is coming in. I have a job. It's always plus minus, and at the end of the day, if you come a little ahead, you won. Going forward, Jason, there's a great point, Kelle. Instead of continue to make excuses for not getting in physical exercise, you can do something simple like going for a walk, just wash some dishes. I mean, housework is exercise,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that's very true.
And I get so many good brownie points if I vacuum, and I just consider it's just a redirection of physical activity. But whenever I'm sitting, I say why and how long, right? Because I should be moving, and I'm happier moving,
Mhm.
and I'm happy listening to music when I'm moving. So it's like a pit stop. You got to look at yourself as a high performance race car, and sometimes you got to get into the pit to get some new tires, get some gas, and whatever else you need. Uh, because if you can't keep yourself up, who will? If you're in trouble and need more support than you have right now, you don't want to do anything to hurt your body because that's just going to complicate things. Sitting is the new smoking. So true.
So true.
Wonder Twin, Cindy Hawthorne.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So
What,
happy to have you here.
tell us about it, Kelly.
So I met Cindy on LinkedIn, and we had the most awesome exchange. And I think it was on Jason's post that we were both tagged in, I believe is how it started. Or she had a post that Jason tagged me on. And we just started chatting and we got along amazing. And we decided at the end of it, we're like, we need a comedy act together. It was phenomenal. And it was just this awesome connection. And then we were privately messaging each other, and it was like, this was just so easy. And it's that whole thing of, I think people come to LinkedIn sometimes thinking, not sometimes, I think a lot of people do, they think they have to act a certain way. Like, I'm supposed to be this because this is what I do for a living, or I'm replying to this post, so I'm going to act like this. And we just so happen to be two people that I think we're authentically ourselves. Like, I'm not trying to be anybody else but me. Like, it's hard enough being me sometimes.
Mhm.
And so we just had this awesome connection, and we've continued to talk and support each other. And I'm like, how freaking awesome is that? And I love that she showed up. So we did. And for people who are old school and do remember the Wonder Twins, your Wonder Twin powers activate. And that's what we were going off of, is because we just had such a great feed off of each other, and it was awesome. And now here she is. I mean, so there it is, just a connection on LinkedIn with a tag, and it led to a friendship. I mean, like, immediate friendship. And now we're doing what we can to support each other. I saw her on Jason's show. She's amazing. Everybody needs to check her out. And this is a friendly reminder to everyone in the chat. Be sure to connect with these people. I've said this a lot of times on the show, is I feel like everyone who's here and that you get to know or just comes, they're pre-vetted in some way. And I think what everybody also needs to be reminded, and Dawn, you were hitting on that a little bit earlier, everyone all over the world has been here, from all over the place has been here. And everyone's had so many different stories of what led them here. And the bottom line, regardless of what path we're on in our own lives, we're all human, and we all need the same thing, which is human connection, community support, and to feel safe and love. And I mean, how beautiful is that this comes together? It's that simple, but it's so difficult to find these days. So that's what's drawn me to it, and why I continue to do it, and I love it, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. And I've met some amazing people. And Cindy, thank you so much for being here. That means a lot.
That's terrific. It just shows you the power of it. And what we're demonstrating is what it evolves into. The nice thing about this show and this message, there's nothing original, right? We're taking everything that there is and just putting it together in a better way. So we're leveraging LinkedIn Live and Microsoft. The whole platform comes at no cost, free rent. You're talking about the people that are on the network, 900 million. You get to pick and choose, right? And the people who are on this show. And what happens, and it happens in so many different dimensions and so many different wonderful ways, is blossoming. It's like petals of a flower.
Yeah.
Is that people are starting to see the difference now. Nothing looked dark until you go to the sun and then go back to it, right? And relationships you have that for whatever reason maintained. And now all of a sudden I can pick up 12 friends who are so much cooler, so much better, and believe in me and everything I believe in, I got to disconnect, because these people are going to want more of my time, and they deserve it. These people want my time and they don't deserve it. So you got to look at exchanges. What are you giving? What are you receiving? And more importantly, fast forward, where's it leading? They say you're the factor of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Who are those 5? You can figure it out. You know where your time goes. Where are they going? And do you want to go with them? Right? And if you don't, it's a transfer, right? They're a booster rocket. Thank you for getting me now to a place where I could launch a new trajectory with my own roadmap, and if everybody's working, if everybody's learning, if everybody's getting healthier, everybody should be able to keep ratcheting up together, because anybody who's way ahead of everybody is in a better position to help people up. And one day they're going to be able to help you up, right? You not only meet people where they are, get people to where they want to go. There's that golden rule, platinum rule, right? The golden rule is do unto others as you want done unto you. Well, the platinum rule is do unto others as they want done unto themselves, right? If you like vanilla ice cream, you don't serve everybody it. You ask them, right? What's your flavor? And that's your mission. And how many people can you satisfy? It's like a food bank, right? How many people can you feed by organizing? And that's another thing about LinkedIn. You meet by accident. Here you meet by plan. On LinkedIn, you meet for whatever reason. Here you meet for purpose, right? It's not just to get or to view. And I think that's why this show can be so much better. And to have somebody like Charles's background or Kelly's background, I can just every name on the right, to be able to say, hey, what do you got that, we talked about that stone soup. What do you got you can throw in the pot, right? And make it healthier and more fortifying for yourself, but more importantly for everybody around you. So, Charles, that's a lot of stuff to follow with, but I think you're up to it.
Well, I want to pick up on your comments about relationships, and I want to distinguish. I had this situation a couple of weeks ago where I had a sales bot use a presumptive close on me and said, "I'm going to call you tomorrow at 2 p.m." And then they sent me this email saying, "I'm going to call you tomorrow at 2 p.m." I thought it didn't really connect at the time. And then I had a meeting, obviously, at that time, so I can't take a sales call at that time. But a couple days later, the person wrote me and said, "You missed our call at 2 p.m." And I was really irritated. And I was sharing this with my team, and they said, "Well, this is a bot. It's not an actual human that sent you this message. It's a bot." And I really want to distinguish, the volume and the auto bots and the sales bots and the automation tools. They all serve a purpose, but they also have a downside. And the downside is that they compromise the relationships. So those relationships, Don and Kelly, that you're talking about are so important. But I want to actually challenge people to take those relationships to the next level. And what the way they can do that is this year, it feels like a big theme, certainly on this side of the planet, right across Asia, Hong Kong, all the way to Malaysia, I'm seeing it, but even further, is mentoring. And so the message that we're echoing out to people is to be a mentor and then find a mentor. So even if you're really, really successful, you can grow yourself by going out there and forcing yourself to find a mentor who can help you grow. Even if you're at the top of the game, you can go further. And I had a lot of mentors in my life, especially when I was younger. I started my first business when I was 16 years old in Toronto, Canada, and I ran it for 14 years. And it was like this business laboratory for me. It was really amazing. But I had a lot of mentors during that time who really coached me and supported me and guided me, told me when I was doing things wrong, told me when they thought I was doing things right. I didn't necessarily listen to them because I was young and arrogant, but still, they were mentors. And I recognize them and I appreciate the contribution they made in my life. And so now what I want to do is I want to give back, which is part of why I went into education, was to give back to the younger generation. If you see my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that one of my mottos is that my ceiling is the next generation's floor. And one of the ways that we can be that ceiling for the next generation is by being mentors. But also we need to up our own game and get our own mentors. No matter how top of the game you are, get a mentor. And the other thing is, no matter how discouraged you are, everyone has skills. So we have, in our organization, we have lots of situations where people who are in early career are mentoring and coaching people who are in late career. We just make sure that they have the skills to mentor and coach. Age has, or late or early career has nothing to do with it. But anyway, so that's one way we can take the relationships to the next level. But the relationships are important and they're distinct from the automation tools.
Yeah, for sure. And that almost leads in, like, seriously, you could not have laid this groundwork even better, because I have to leave a little bit early today because I mentor an at-risk youth here locally in Phoenix.
Excellent.
For that reason, is my feeling has always been, people who sit on the sidelines and complain about everything, like what needs to be fixed or what needs to be done, or pointing out what the problem is. Let's get involved and help the community. And my feeling was there's no better way to help the community than helping children. They are our future. And I couldn't agree with you more on the part of, I have mentors that I still work with, because we all need them. And I have done, leadership coaching for many years, and do mentor young people in business as well. And I've had people say, well, if you're a coach, what do you need a coach for? And it's like, well, doesn't a doctor need a doctor sometimes? Like, we're never finished. And I've certainly have outgrown coaches. And I've also, said the same thing. I'm like, I want you to graduate on to the next. You don't need to stay with me forever. Although I do have a mentor from my last program that I did here, and she's been in my life now for 5 years. And I can't imagine my life will ever be without her. But I just think it's so important. And you just bring on such a great point of, we're here for a short time. And my feeling is I want to continue to learn and grow and become the best version of myself. I don't want to think that, like, this is the best I'm going to be, so I'm just going to stick with it. I just feel like that's when we all stop living, really. We should continue to be curious and want to learn and grow and expand who we are, and share that with others, in particular our youth. I mean, I feel so passionately about it. And it's life-changing. I feel like sometimes people be like, oh my gosh, that has to, because it's difficult at times. I'm not going to lie. It's difficult because the challenges some of these kids go through, it's heart-wrenching. But the what it feels in me is so phenomenal. And like, how I will feel when I come home today is going to be so grateful, because I have the opportunity, and this is all it is. And then I think a lot of people who get into mentor program, especially when they're talking about at risk, it can be a little scary, because it's like, I don't know what to do. This kid has so many problems or has been through so much. But your job isn't to fix them. Your job is to just love them.
That's right. Absolutely.
It just seemed to shift when, and I've said this, I think, before, when I have my mentee get in my car, I guarantee this morning will be like, good morning. There will be sort of that little grumpy thing, but it's not grump. It's also taking the energy from where they're coming from. And then it'll shift within like 30 seconds. Cause I'll be like, do you want to talk, or do we want to be quiet for a bit? And it'll be like 30 seconds. And then it'll be nonstop talking in the best way, because it's almost like they have to adjust into the space of like, I'm in my safe space now, and I know I'm not judged here. And honestly, there's no greater feeling, I don't think, in the world than that. And then having this kid say, just thank you, and I love you. I mean, she said the words, I love you, within weeks of being with her. And it's because I was showing her love, and she doesn't get enough of that. And that's what this is too, this whole community that we have here. And it goes to what I said earlier, but that's really it. We all speak that same language. I don't care where you're from, or, and meeting everybody where they're at. I mean, that's another key, I think, takeaway from today altogether. What are your thoughts, Don?
Well, I think, this has been one of the most insightful and wonderful shows. I think as you get more people on, you get more opinions, more insights. It's like triple the benefit. The other thing is the reason why this is so successful, there is no material benefit to doing it. And that's why so many people who could won't. So many people come in and have to make up for something that has nothing to do with it, but someone's got to pay for it, right? And I'm into creating value, having people experience it, and then ultimately leverage it so they can maybe one day pay with the results, not the risk, right? The last thing you want to put is at-risk people at greater risk, greater fear, greater pressure, and taking their money, taking their time, and then giving them a solution that may not work. How horrible is that? I mean, isn't there something better you could do with your time than take advantage of other people's? And the offset is creating programs that no one would be long-term enough, confident enough to launch and let it go on its own, right? Without controls. I want to be 1% of 100 people here, not 100% of me with a bunch of people, because I like to enjoy this. Too many people are leaders, never dance, right? The person who's leading a band never gets a chance to get to the dance floor. Wouldn't it be great if someone would take the baton and become better than the person that gave it to it? I love Charles's statement that, your ceiling should be someone's floor.
Love that.
Right? Because I look at this life as a relay race. And when you get your baton, you just run. You don't think, you don't look back, you don't talk to the person that gave it to you. This is your shot. And not only that, it's the kind of life you want. And everybody's got the same time every day, how they invested, how they measure the return on that investment, and then how they reinvest the next day. People should be faster on the draw. It should be in or out, in or out. And the people here are in. They're already have open arms. You hear Kelle's story, you hear Charles' story, you hear my story, you hear everybody's story. Believe it. We wouldn't be saying the same story every time if it wasn't the story.
That's right.
And we want to hear your story because Charles's story has so much impressed me.
Yeah.
Because someone out in the audience, everybody in the audience, if given their chance to have their true voice be heard, their true essence be shared, right? So it's not just sharing the worst, it's sharing you. And only you put worst and best on anything or before anything. So maybe the labeling needs to change. And all you do is you make a few minor corrections. They say a spaceship on the way to wherever it's going is off course 97% of the time. It's the gyroscope that brings it back to where it needs to be, and this could be someone's North Star, right? This could be something, a shiny light. And, I'll tell you one thing about people. A lot of them are hopeless, but when they get hope, they're a whole different person from where they were, right? And I think that's what we need to encourage people is, they say faith is the belief in the invisible. You've got to believe in things you can't always see and feel. And you also have to disbelieve today a lot of things you feel and think you believe based on who it is and who's serving it up, And if you look at it like food, you get to choose where you want to go to dinner tonight, what you want to eat, who do you want to be with, right? And if you keep making those good choices, you can't wait for tomorrow instead of being afraid to open up your eyes and say, oh man, I'm back where I was, So I believe I've been there, Kelly's been there, Charles been there. There's nobody who hasn't been there. We can help you. I wish this show would have been here when I was going through this. It would have been a lot faster and I would have been a lot more confident sooner, right? When you got to gather your stuff up together and build it versus, hey, you got a bunch of it over there. Can you share a little right now to get me out of the situation? So in closing, well, we still have a couple minutes. Charles, what do you think? You've been here for the whole time. Kelly, I know you got to go.
Yeah, I do. I got to run. Thank
If
you.
it wasn't for Kelly, I've been by myself today, and I don't want to be there. So enjoy, and we'll talk again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelle.
Have a great day, everyone.
You too.
Good luck with your youth group.
So,
Yeah,
Charles, what do you think about your inaugural visit?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. Thank you so much for the invitation and being agile enough to throw me in at the last minute on the open mic. Just want to pick up on a couple things that you and Kelly said. Kelly talked about love and the importance of loving people. I absolutely, totally agree with that. And I did a TEDx talk a couple of years ago called Love as a Leadership Skill, which was all about practicing love as a leader in organizations, which for some people they might find to be very odd and awkward because they might think, well, love doesn't belong in corporations, but it actually does. And it takes the form of professional intimacy. So you're not doing anything unprofessional. You're just getting to know your people, you're empowering them, you're nurturing them, you're encouraging them, and you're taking an interest in them more than would be normal or expected or accustomed to having career conversations with people. And then the other thing I want to say is just a note of encouragement back to the people out there. We described them before as hurting. I'm going to use a new word. They might be discouraged, might be going through difficult circumstances. So I have this great quote, and when I was listening to you, Dawn and Kelly, I remembered this quote, and this is a message, a word for people listening who are discouraged. Listen to this, okay? Listen to this. The greatest thing you are ever going to do in your life has yet to happen. Isn't that something to look forward to? You will get through your current circumstances because the greatest thing you are ever going to do in your life has yet to happen. So keep going, stay positive, reach out, find a mentor and be a mentor, no matter where you're at.
Well, that's wonderful. And, I hope everybody takes that to heart, and works with it, because you can always do yesterday tomorrow, so why not try something new today, and surprise yourself possibly, or give somebody else that opportunity to enter your life in a way that satisfies their need too, which could be giving. When people are so focused on needing, they think that the person giving is putting themselves out, where actually you're giving them a chance to share what they have either too much of or can afford to give away. And there is something to, the law of abundance and circulation, that the more open you are to giving, the more open you are to receiving. And it's just a matter of when. It's like the checks in the mail, you just don't have a date on it. And if you can get happy and satisfied doing things for people with no reason to think something will benefit you, you win twice if you win again. But you're always a winner. You're always a giver. And you find out that, you're not alone, because everything, when you add it to a person, becomes an experience, a relationship, a conversation. You know, we've got so many comments. Blake Clifford, a new name, maybe might know someone on the show, but hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. We're getting educators, we're getting mental health advocates. That's who we're attracting. We never hear anything about what's your LinkedIn strategy for posting, right? We never hear about how many connections do you have, because we're already now at a personal level that we don't have to talk LinkedIn jargon. We're renting the LinkedIn Live mechanism to broadcast. It doesn't have to be anything about LinkedIn, except that we're leveraging LinkedIn's population. And, if there was a safe zone, if you went to a huge concert, they'd have a tent for people who are having issues, right? There are so many people on this platform, LinkedIn, 900 million, and it's growing twice as fast in outside of the US. It's gone up 200% last quarter just outside of the US. So it's getting more international, it's getting more universal. And our message fits perfectly because it's not limited by boundary, it's not limited by culture or tradition or language. It's love, kindness, mentoring. It's everything everybody knows is good, but they don't want to be the whole thing to the good. But if they can match 50-50 peer to peer, and I even advocate, if you can do more, you should do more. If you can do 80% of something and just allow somebody to do their 20, you complete both of you, right? And it's like an assembly line in a good way. You keep matching, making holes, keep putting them through. And then as people get whole, now maybe the next person they can give 30 or 40% to instead of 20. And pretty soon they get built to the 70, and now everybody is getting more powerful. So, if you're looking at machines, they're only going to get smarter, stronger, and more manipulative. They think beyond you. They think about where they want to take you, where they want to be themselves. So the lines are getting pretty blurry. Charles says, believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside you that's greater than any obstacle. That's so great. Plus, giving credit to Christian, because people's legacy can live on through here, right? People's mentors who are no longer here are getting visibility, are getting exposure. So the ripple that they even started generationally ago, the book you read from somebody who did it 100 years ago, right, now comes back to life. How great is that? And the beauty of it is it doesn't have to be original. You're just curators, right? You're just referrers. I read this book. Here's a great saying. I heard this person. Here's what they had to say. So you don't have to worry about self-authorship in order to have your voice heard. Blake, hey, happy Saturday. My lack of sleep affects me a lot. I really need enough time to sleep. Well, you need to get what you need, right? What's your thoughts? We got Poonam here. Poonam's a lawyer in India. Hi, boss. Hi, Kelle. Hi, sir. Always saying hello. Always respectful. Success is not failure. Failure is not success is not final. Failure is not fatal. Like Peter Pecker.
Yeah.
Peppers. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. You identified Winston Churchill and Teddy Roosevelt, and those are my two heroes. So I don't know how you could have figured it out, but maybe people who think like we do admire the same people we do. We feed off
the universe talking to us.
but also need to feed ourselves. Start with self and go from there. Jason, who's been very active, and coming Tuesday, Cindy Hawthorne. Yes, that's so important, Sin. And encouragement, confirmation, third-party validation goes a long way. How many people pat you on the back and say, great job every day? Not many, right? And how long does it take? People aren't aware. People here are aware you're going to get a lot of the applause and recognition that you always deserved and probably had, but no one verbalized it. Having it bottled up inside helps nobody. We have a new name here. I am a professional. Okay, so we're selling. Poonam is hi, everyone. Dean, who's a great guy. Rising tides lift all ships. So true. And we can be that. Hi, Ambambola. Linda says, Charles Caldwell, man, not letting life get you down to give up, but to get up no matter what. Love helping encourage all ages, no matter what my life has been, still making the most of time, still here. Well, everybody's got now, and everybody should use now. I love the idea of a mentor at any age. Charles, find a mentor and be a mentor. Poonam, Linda Cohen, yes, this is big truth. Here's a new person that got into the swing of things. So grateful to you. Getting a mentor is a real thing. I do connect with kids and love the idea to mentor them. Well, I spend so much time with my grandkids, and actually yesterday I took them bowling and lunch and dinner, and we did a whole day and night almost together. And I always love looking through life through their eyes instead of mine, right? Because they're still somewhat innocent, and it's refreshing to get out of yourself and to be with somebody at their level. Because I like to be friends with everybody. It's okay to ask someone younger than you to be a mentor. It's all what comes out of your mouth that matters. The next time you say something will determine where you're going. As long as you're relevant, as long as you bring value, you'll have value. We're all here to self-actualize after all. The opportunity is limitless. We're not talking about finite here. We're talking about what's inside you, everything that you learned, everybody you met. What is it you can put together and say, here's my gift to the picnic today. Let's make a real cool buffet out of this thing where we help each other. Actualize, Poonam. Yes, Christine, Cindy. Cindy's been great. Thank you for coming. Exactly. Predatory personalities are so last year. Well, they're getting so obvious, that they're having a little harder time. That's the Charles Caldwell. That's the recipe for a great life. You just reaffirm inside people, which maybe they might have had a question and now they're firm. And if everybody goes from straw to brick and wants to build their house on a solid foundation, agree food for thought is good to digest. Um, Successful people are usually too busy to look for it. I mean, this is so cool getting so much interaction. Charles Caldwell, yes, this is very good for us. Christine, I love Charles Caldwell. I had a neighbor who used to tell me, in case no one told you today, I love you. Uh, for a little something like that takes actually no cost, not a lot of energy, the return is enormous. There aren't enough hearts around. Actually, if you look at my profile, it's all divided by heart emojis, right? Because it should reflect what I'm feeling from the group I'm with, right? You want to be aligned, keep the message straight as far as where it started to where it's going, and allow somebody else to duplicate through themselves. 5 to get 5 will get you a lot in a short period of time. The greatest thing you're ever going to do is yet to happen. Isn't that something to look forward to? If someone had told me, I don't know how many years ago I'd be where I am, I never believe them.
Mm.
And if even someone told me a year ago I'd be involved with a show like this, I never thought, I never even considered it, let alone thinking how I could make it happen. But it's only through change, openness to change, and trust in others to listen to them, right? And then trust yourself to decide what you do with it, but trust other people to share. Doing things to people with no benefit, it makes a lot. Well, if you got talent and nobody wants it, why not give it away and keep in practice, right? And have an example of what you can do instead of just telling people what you can do and hoping someone engages you. You shouldn't sell yourself. You know what I mean? You should create value for others, and the benefit will come back to you. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. She was another great person. We need more and more of those people today that can inspire people, whether it's Gandhi or Theodore Roosevelt. Don't watch the clock, do what it does, keep going. That's a Sam Levinson. I remember him from the 50s, And that's one thing about wisdom is you can tell jokes from comics no one ever even heard of that were great in the 50s or 60s, so you can recycle things because you're the only one who knows them at the time. It was grand vision to connect with your grandkids and grandparents. Well, family's where it's at, and not everybody can pick their original family, but I say you can assemble a second family, and enjoy the benefits that come with it. And I think we've kind of covered pretty much all of the comments. If there's any last comments, I'd love to hear from you. But in the meantime, Charles, you made a program that no one anticipated into a beautiful show that has touched so many people immediately, but also will touch people we'll never have a chance to meet in the future, because this show will double or triple its visibility after a post on LinkedIn. And then it'll be here for years and years to come. And one smile, somebody who says, I'm not going to turn the switch off on my business today, I'll wait one more day because maybe it is true. Even the thought of it maybe could happen is enough to say, well, why not see the end of the movie and surprise yourself, because everybody, to Charles's point, has had high points and has low points. And it shows you're capable of both, right? It's really the situation that will determine how well you do. So, Charles, final thoughts to this beautiful audience?
Well, just want to thank you again I mean, it's all possible because of your leadership, Don. That's what makes this whole thing possible, and the community that you've built. Final thoughts. Well, Abimbola made a comment earlier about sleep. So, Abimbola, you just have to figure that out. Whatever you need to do to figure out your sleep, Abimbola, and for everybody else who's wrestling with sleep, you need to get sleep. When a lot of the research will tell you the best way to get sleep is actually to go to bed earlier and not try to sleep in. Don't try to get more sleep by sleeping in. Go to bed an hour and a half earlier and get extra sleep at the beginning of the night and get up early in the morning. Lots of stories of successful people that are very disciplined first thing in the morning with their routine. And you mentioned kids, and I just thought I would share this quick little story, Dawn. When my kids went through a really big gaming phase and they were really involved in Minecraft, of course, as a parent, I wanted to resist the amount of time they were involved in Minecraft. But the way I did that was I actually jumped into Minecraft myself and I built a world with my kids. And the only condition of satisfaction was that I built a basement. So if they ever went into survival mode, I would go hide in the basement because I didn't like the vampires and the zombies coming after me. But it really made a huge difference because when I said to them, okay, I've done enough Minecraft now, 1 or 2 hours, let's take a break. They were willing to take a break, and I wasn't constantly fighting with them to get off Minecraft. We were able to find a balance in there. So encourage people to try that strategy as well. Put on your own oxygen mask first, but look after yourself. Remember you are great. Don't get discouraged. Your time will come, and stay positive. Keep moving forward. We love you.
Can't beat that. So with that, thank you, everybody. Rest up, get some sleep, come back in 23 hours. Tomorrow is Sarah Dawkins. Have you ever seen Sarah, Charles?
I have not. I'll look forward to that.
Oh, she's wonderful. She's got a wonderful story, and she's been with us for about 2-3 months. Just amazing people. So thank you, Charles. Thank you, audience. Go out and have a wonderful day. Treat yourself better than you have in a long time, and see what that does for you. And get some sleep tonight. So with that, thank you again. Bye for now, and we'll talk again.
Bye.